I got this email from Radioddity saying that they've released new firmware for the QT80. So let's have a look at what the features are in this new firmware. It says memory copy, preventing override of current saved channels. There's quite a few things there. So I'm quite interested to see how well it works and how easily it is to install. So it always pays, if you have bought a radio, to keep on a mailing list with the provider, and then you'll be updated with any firmwares. So I'm going to go ahead and download and see how this works. Alright, so I'm on the Radioddity page and I'm just looking for the radio, QT80. So if you download the first one here, firmware update 1.01 with CPS, you'll get the firmware and the CPS software. Then once you extract that, you can go in and it'll have it all here. So in the folder, you've got a whole lot of files, but if you open the README first file in Notepad or something like that, you can see that all the things that are in the file. So you've got the release notes, the PDF file, which we'll open now in a second, and we've got the installer program, installer CPS, the drivers, and so on, and the firmware. So they're all in there. If we open up the PDF now, let's have a look at that. Looks like a good detailed document showing you how to install it all. So reading the document, we can see here some of the things that they mentioned in the email that have changed, which is good. The scan as well as there, and a few other things, including a way now you can see what sort of firmware, what version firmware you've got installed, and added some TX color in the menu and a few other things. So it's good that they're spending the time to work on the firmware, not just sell a radio and then forget. They're actually updating things, which is great. Okay, so I'm going to update the firmware on the radio. So I've got it connected via USB. Now what I'm going to do is push in the channel knob. That's pushed in. I'm going to push in the emergent button down there, and then I'm going to turn it on. And you can see there it says boot. We're going to open the first file there that I've got highlighted, QX code, and install that program. And we'll just let Windows do its thing. We'll run it anyway. And it's fairly easy install. I do recommend you uninstall the software first that you've already got on your computer before installing this. And then we just launch it. And we get this little interface here. So the first thing we want to do is check our settings. Make sure we've got the right COM point. You might need to change that if necessary. The baud rate should be, as shown there, 115, 200, and duplex is switched on. Now press the open file. And we want to go into the main firmware folder. Select that file that's in there. Now we just install it pretty easily like that. Doesn't take too long to write that across to the radio, or the walkie-talkie as it says in the program there. So that's complete. So we now want to update the DSP firmware. So the first thing you do is turn the radio off, but have it connected via USB, and then push the channel knob again, but this time hold down the mem key, and while they're down, turn the radio on. So the screen should say DSP boot. So let's press open, and we're going to go to the DSP folder. DSP firmware, select that file, and you can see it changes down the bottom of the screen to say DSP. Now we write that to the radio, and this took just a little bit longer, so I'm going to speed the video up. So there you go, now it's complete. We've done that process. So we're now going to update the CPS. So the first thing we need to do is click on the QT80 setup file, and then we'll run that anyway, just like before. Then it's just a simple matter of installing it, which doesn't take long at all, and then launching the program. So the first thing I do is download what is in the radio currently, so we've got a starting point, and I've done another video on this also. So once setting up your COM port is download all the data from the radio, and I'll speed this up also. Once downloaded, you can save that, and then at least you've got a starting point. Should you muck up the settings in the radio from this point on, you can always go back to this point here. So now that I've updated the firmware and checked all my settings, I've actually tested putting a frequency from VFO mode into channel mode, and it really works well now. So I'm pretty happy with that, even though I was happy with the radio anyway. I'd suggest you have a look at my other videos, because I do talk more about programming in one of my other videos. I've got another video too with a full review, so I'd encourage you to watch that. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. I've got a link below also that gives you a discount if you're thinking about purchasing one. 73s.